to in the application. Lawyers for James Gyakye Quayson are seeking to prevent the case from being heard on a daily basis, which they believe will affect the campaigns of the accused, who is the NDC's parliamentary candidate in the Ascent North by-election scheduled for June 27. There is more in the following report.
The court was scheduled for prosecution to continue with its case by calling witnesses to prove the criminal case against James Gyakye Quayson. Per the timetable, the court was expected to sit daily from Tuesday to Thursday, June 22. The defense team for the NDC parliamentary candidate, however, prayed the court to vary its orders to sit daily. The team led by Chachikata argued that the orders will negatively affect the ambitions of the accused to contest in the Ascent North by-election on June 27. The lawyers also took issue with some comments made by Attorney General Godfrey Dame at the last sitting when the order was made, describing those comments as insulting and prejudicial to the case of the accused. The state, however, disagreed with the motion of the accused by contending that it could not argue the motion since it has not had enough time to study the affidavit. The state asked for the case to be adjourned to Wednesday for the motion to be heard. Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tuan also urged the court to continue with the cross-examination on Tuesday, while the motion for variation is adjourned to Wednesday. Chachikata, however, opposed the request, asking the court to hear the motion on Tuesday before continuing any proceedings related to the substantive case. The judge, however, stayed proceedings for Tuesday and adjourned the hearing of the motion to Wednesday, after which a decision on the next adjourned date for the substantive matter will be given. Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tuan spoke to the media after Tuesday's hearing.
Counsel for the accused person made a point that the AG on the last adjourned date said the accused person is being irresponsible from what he said in court today. If that is contained in the affidavit in support, then we will need time to also respond to say, because every single word that the AG uttered on the last adjourned date was proper. In fact, he was able to convince the court the need for the matter to be heard on a daily basis. So we are at sea as to why they are talking about an attack on the accused person, but we are waiting. It's not about he not being allowed to contest the elections. He has the right to contest. The state also has the right to hear cases pending in court. So it's going to be opposition, even though we've not been served, that the court properly exercises discretion in granting adjournment on daily basis. And that's what we're going to maintain.
Outside the court premises, some supporters of James Gyakye Quayson expressed solidarity to the NDC parliamentary candidate. Meanwhile, the NDC, which was heavily represented in court by members of parliament and former ministers, is confident of getting the order of the court varied.
To call somebody irresponsible when he's embarked on a democratic process, and that because he's embarked on that democratic process, he's irresponsible, shouldn't be coming from Attorney General and the Minister of Justice. If I'm Minister of Justice, you must ensure that justice is done to all manner of persons. And so that was an irresponsible comment from the Attorney General. It doesn't act like an Attorney General, and I agree with Senior Chachikata that his comments were irresponsible. Our problem has been with the day-to-day hearing, the daily hearings, and we shall make a strong case for the matter to be adjourned beyond 27th. Don't forget that he's undertaking a national assignment, and that's the national assignment the Attorney General doesn't understand. For the Attorney General, it must be Akufo-Addo inviting you to the Flagstaff House and giving you work. But he doesn't know the Constitution also imposes a national duty. So that's the kind of Attorney General you have. Vision, narrow vision.
The police inspector, Ahmed Chumesi, who has been committed to stand trial for the alleged murder of his girlfriend, Victoria Dapa, has pleaded not guilty to the charge of murder. His plea was in response to the brief facts that were read in court by the state attorney as part of the committal proceedings. This, however, is contrary to what the suspect said during his maiden court appearance, where he sadly admitted to committing the act, but insisted that was not his intention to kill his lover. Our Shanti regional correspondent Fatih Aminu Ibrahim reports.
During the court proceedings on Tuesday, June 20th, 2023, the suspect, Inspector Ahmed Chumesi, declined to answer all other questions that were thrown at him, insisting that his lawyer will provide answers to such questions later. When asked about having witnesses, the suspect noted that he will call his witnesses as and when the need arises. The state attorneys detailed how the suspect committed the alleged crime and presented all exhibits available to the court, including the service pistol used to commit the act and CCTV footage that captured the scene as part of the committal process. 26-year-old Victoria Dapa, also known as Majua, was allegedly killed by her boyfriend, Inspector Ahmed Chumesi, on 20th April 2023 at Edum, a few meters away from her house. The suspect was arrested and subsequently remanded into prison custody. He is still on remand pending trial. The father of the deceased, Bruce Dapa, who spoke to Citi News after the court proceedings, described the turn of events as unfortunate.
I'm here because of my daughter, Majua. I arrived here, and when I came, I found out that she had been killed, murdered, so I don't know what the court will say, I will see what the court will say, because I don't have, for me, I'm an ordinary man like you. So I don't know. I cannot say so much. So you let the court proceed. And
will you call for justice to be served?
Of course. Yeah. That's why I'm here. So I'll make sure that everything go right. Then the due process will take its course. So they will see what to go on.
Yeah. It appears dreams have been shattered here.
Of course, yeah.
What arrangements did you make for your beloved daughter?
Well, that one is within the family. So we are still ongoing.
In terms of her being traveling outside the country.
Yeah, but now she's mother. So what can we do? There's nothing.
What are your plans for before this whole thing?
Yeah, but I told you we have a plan. That I've made her passport, everything. That I'm coming to take her to United Kingdom. But unfortunately, just murdered. So I cannot say so much, because now she's already gone. So I don't have so much to say, So let the process take its course, and then we see what to go on from there.
There was heightened security at the court to prevent an assault on the suspect. As happened the last time, family members of the deceased yet again made attempts to physically attack the suspect. The court premises turned chaotic after angry family members and friends were made aware of the not guilty plea of the suspect. The situation forced the police to call for reinforcement. Some of the angry family members of the deceased pelted stones at the police vehicle when they were whisking the suspect away from the court premises. The suspect, Inspector Ahmed Chumesi, has been committed by the Askoremampon District Court to stand trial at the High Court starting 13th July 2023 at 10 a.m.
The High Court is the one going to try the case, and so he has been committed and will be going to the High Court to try the case.
As part of the processes for the matter to be transferred from the Askoremampon District Court to the High Court, the suspect was charged and rearrested. The suspect, who has been rearrested and remanded into prison custody, has been committed to stand trial at the High Court on 13th July 2023. For Citi News, Fatih Aminu Ibrahim, Asokore Mampon District Court, Ashanti Region.
Meanwhile, the Koforidua Magistrate Court A has remanded 26-year-old farmer Godwin Dakun, who reported himself to the police after killing his girlfriend at Trum Junction 5, a suburb of Koforidua, over the weekend, into police custody to reappear on July 4, 2023. Citi News' Neil Ni Amati Kanaku was in court and has more details in this report.
According to prosecution, the suspect, Godwin Dakun, who has been in a 6-month relationship with the deceased Felicia Abena Oparibia on Saturday during a misunderstanding over an aborted pregnancy, stabbed the deceased several times on the neck and the back, killing her instantly. Godwin Dakun, after absconding from the murder scene, confided in his mother, who happens to be the queen mother of Suhum Nifa Nkobia, who then willingly took him to the police station to report himself. Police prosecutor Sergeant George Defia, who told the court that the murder weapon and bunch of keys used by the suspect to commit the crime is yet to be retrieved, prayed the court not to take the plea of the suspect as investigations are ongoing. He, however, told the court that the command remains committed to unravel recent spousal murders in the eastern region. The court, presided over by Nana Ahmad Dabafin, who accepted the plea of the prosecution, however, charged the police to ensure a speedy, effective and efficient investigations, as the court will not countenance on undue delays. Nana Dede Clote, Suhum Nifa Nkobia Hima and mother of the suspect, who spoke to the media about the relationship between the two lovers, indicated that she personally escorted her son to the police station to report himself. She, however, pleaded for cool heads to prevail for both families to see to the smooth burial process of the deceased.
Esi na midi kankan esi ohun ye mobo na bibi anto ye na mo monka me ana me ne papa ne abusua no afenunu wonka ye mbom na yempa abran korabe esi na meka ne se ye dan a aba omufa ncheye.
The timely intervention by the Counter-Terrorism Unit of the Eastern Regional Police Command prevented the youth of Nkrakan from lynching some personnel of Police Intelligence Department, PID, who were escorting some alleged drug peddlers to the Regional Command. The PID personnel from the Regional Command, dressed in mufti, driving a taxi cab which they used in the intelligence operations, were blocked at Nkrakan by the youth, who mistook them for kidnappers. There is more in this report by Citi News' Neil Ni Amati Kanaku.
According to Citi News close sources at the Eastern Regional Command, the Intelligence Department for months now have been tracking the movement of a major marijuana supplier who distributes marijuana to customers in Koforidua. The suspect, who is part of a syndicate, has been distributing marijuana from Unya in the Yilo Krobo municipality, where it's cultivated, harvested, bagged and sealed before it's finally picked up by a delivery person for onward supplies. The PID personnel, who disguised themselves as customers and demanded to purchase in large quantities, were finally directed to the main supplier through the delivery person, who happens to be a woman in her late 30s. The woman, who met the disguised officers, agreed to do business with them, but luck eluded her when she brought out the package for sale. She was handcuffed after the personnel revealed the identity to her, who was being escorted together with others to the taxi which was being used by the officers, communicated in the Krobo language to neighbors that the officers were kidnappers. The personnel, upon reaching Nkrakan, met an angry youth who had blocked the road with motorcycles, demanding the release of the suspect. The PID personnel, sensing danger, dashed into the Nkrakan police station to take cover, as the youth, who had earlier been alerted that they were kidnappers, also demanded their immediate release. There was a standoff between armed CTU personnel deployed to the scene and the youth, a heated situation which resulted in the setting ablaze of the taxi which was initially being used to transport the suspect. This, however, caused a massive gridlock in the area for several hours, as the youth group pelted stones to prevent the police from rescuing the PID personnel. The armed police fired several rounds of warning shots into the air before they were able to whisk away the officers and 7 suspects, including the wanted drug peddler, to Koforidua, where they have been placed in custody.
Now turning our attention to education, over 6,000 teachers failed the 2023 resit Ghana Teacher Licensure Examination in May. Now this is according to the National Teacher Council. A statistical breakdown of the licensure resit results indicates that out of the over 7,000 teachers who participated in the resit exams, only a little over 1,000 passed. This has elicited concerns among stakeholders in the educational sector, with the Ghana National Association of Teachers, for instance, calling for a national dialogue. There is more in the following report by Citi News' Daniel Sakiti.
The National Teacher Licensure Examination was introduced in 2018 to ensure that quality teachers were found in classrooms and to also raise the standard of teaching in Ghana. After 5 years of its implementation, some teachers scaled the hurdle to pass their licensure exams, while others continue to resit the exams multiple times. According to the National Teaching Council, more than 80% of the candidates who sat the resit licensure exams for the month of May failed, a situation it describes as a national security threat.
The 2023 GTLA1, which was written in May 4 and 5, was strictly opened for reciters, and 7,728 of them sat for the exam. And as out of the 7,728, 1,277 of them passed, which in terms of percentage is 15.5%. So about 84.5 of them failed the exam. Most of them are not ready to be teachers. They don't prepare, and some of them are not even fit to be called teachers as a result of what they produce. When I say what they produce, some of the responses they give, and I think this is a national security threat that the whole country needs to look into this, because when we talk about teachers, we don't just immediately feel the outcome of some of these things, like a nurse will give you an injection and you could die instantly, but a teacher can pollute about 300 students at a go, and in the near future you can see what happens, and we don't see it as a threat.
The Ghana National Association of Teachers has bemoaned the development and has also called for a relook at the entry requirements into colleges of education and other tertiary institutions. The Ghana National Association of Teachers argues that this will ensure that taxpayers receive value for money as the teachers receive allowances during their training. General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Thomas Musa, in a Citi News interview added that a stakeholder dialogue was needed over the mass failure recorded, while also demanding that the National Teaching Council release the Chief Examiner's report.
What we are running with now is creating more problems, creating anxiety, creating more worry. And I don't think that is the way to go. NTC should, as quickly as possible, release the Chief Examiner's report and allow the public to distill it and for us to look at it. We take it out from there. But given what is happening now, it is creating so much anxiety, worry, and concerns. How can a state train almost about 8,000 teachers and you have only about 1,002 passing and the 6,000 plus failing? I mean, what kind of explanation would you give to the taxpayer? What a kind of explanation? What kind of explanation would you give to the taxpayer? You have no justification. And so, as soon as possible, the report must come. Let us see exactly what the report has to say. Then we take it out from there. It is not a good news. It is not something that, for me, I pray that we will not do like we usually do. By Monday, we will say business as usual. No. We are calling for a national dialogue on this matter.
Education think tank Africa Education Watch has called on the National Teaching Council to place a cap on the number of times candidates can resit the licensure exams. This, it believes, will ensure that candidates do not use unlawful means to eventually pass the licensure exams.
The least time some of them are writing is the third time, and for somebody to have written 3 times and have failed the exam again, whereas we feel that it has to be a point that the NTC would have to consider a cut-off point that would determine how many times they resit for this exam, because it means that if they are going to continue writing and probably they adopted unconventional ways to pass, such children or students are going to enter into our classrooms to be teaching.
Meanwhile, the National Teaching Council has been outlining alternative measures for candidates who failed the licensure resit exam.
We only have one chance for them to redeem themselves. One chance because we have introduced a reform, and the reform comes with different package. And so they are not going to do the numeracy, literacy, essential professional skills. The reform, literacy, numeracy, essential professional skills, is now one paper. And so they are going to write that as a paper, and then your area of specialization you'll be examined on, and then the normal pedagogy, and then school policy, like educational policies, as one paper. And so those who are already in the system, they are doing a different thing. So if you want to join, and the minimum you can use to join this particular reform is a degree. So if you are here and you are failed and you are a diplomate, you have to upgrade to get a degree before you can even write that one and then move on. So that.
This is the Citi Newsroom. I'm Frema Edunyame. Still to come. Minority criticizes government's plans to demolish Tamale Abuabu Timber Market. We'll be back shortly with the details. Please stay.
Anyone can become a house owner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Flip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand a chance of winning a house or cash or consolidated prizes, such as savings towards a house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.ugoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win. Flip it or own it. Ugoflip. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
If you're a whiz kid that collects straight A's in your sleep, a brainy brains that aces quizzes without even trying, or a clever clogs that knows just about everything, then there's one more battle you have to win: the Literacy Challenge. The nationwide search for the best junior high student is on. Think it could be you going home with 10,000 Ghana cedis and a glitzy trophy? Then, in not less than 600 words, write a story that ends with the following statement: the happiest people do not have the best of everything, they make the best of everything they have. Stories should be written in your own handwriting with the deadline of Saturday, the 15th of July 2023 in mind. Submissions must include an endorsement by a parent or guardian and their full contact details. And once you're done, shoot off your entries to the front desk of Citi TV or Citi FM. Or you can send entries to PO Box GP 14123 Accra Central. For more inquiries, call 0558 973 973. The Literacy Challenge 2023 is powered by Citi TV, supported by Citi FM, and is sponsored by the Ghana National Gas Company, Ribby Crunchy Biscuits by M4 Foods, and SIC Insurance PLC.
Hello again. The Member of Parliament for Tamale North, Alhassan Suheni, has described as insensitive plans by the government to demolish the Tamale Abuabo timber market in the northern region. The MP contends that the land, which is inhabited by many traders of timber products, has been sold to a private developer by the government in the year 2020 for redevelopment. Now, addressing the media, the lawmaker said the government has failed to offer compensation and alternative for the affected dwellers ahead of the planned demolition. Citi News' Ni Ayikwen Okan reports.
The Member of Parliament for Tamale North, Alhassan Suheni, on Tuesday addressed the media on plans by the government to demolish the Tamale Abuabo timber market following its sale to a private developer. The MP contends that the government has been insensitive due to its failure to compensate the victims as well as provide them with an alternative. He says that the victims rely on the market as their source of livelihood.
If you tell us that the lease is dated 15th December 2020, how does it take effect on 15th August 2020? Is it that it took effect before the lease was signed? Apart from this, what does this say about that press conference that was held in 2021 by the Regional Lands Commission to assure the people that nothing was happening to that land and that that land had not been sold? Clearly, there is something that is not right with the narrations that we are getting from the minister and also from the Regional Lands Commission. Now, the timber market is a place that a lot of traders in timber products have used to earn their livelihood and to support their children and to also respond to other family commitments. In fact, that place has been a business center long before I was born. And yet, in the minister's answer, he says that there are no permanent structures there. And so, this private developer that they have given the land to can go there and demolish whatever structure is there without paying compensation to anybody. There is also no proposal to reallocate the people if there's a need to even use that land for another purpose. So this is so insensitive. Even if we agree that the government should redevelop that land, the approach is insensitive.
But the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abdullahi Jinapo, says that the victims would be duly compensated.
The matters relating to the Tamale Timber Abuabo market are beyond and above reproach. The records are there for all of us to appreciate. It forms part of the broader scheme of government redevelopment. The leases which were granted before I assumed office, and the people who are authorized to grant leases in favor of private developers are the Lands Commission acting in the name of the President. And that is what happened on the 29th August 2020. As I said, again, they claim that there are permanent structures and it's going to affect individuals and it's insensitive. That also is another palpable falsehood. There are no permanent structures there. The place has been inspected. There are containers and kiosks there. And indeed, as I speak to you and as I indicated in my answer, the Lands Commission and the lessee are working with all stakeholders, including the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly, to make sure that these individuals are compensated adequately. And above all, this is not going to be a development for the sole benefit of the developer. This is going to be a commercial development. And we have all seen Airport City in Accra under President Rawlings through redevelopment, where the President Rawlings' government invited private developers to raise the landscape of the Airport City, which is now lifted and giving us a facelift as a capital, as a national capital. That is exactly what we want to do in Abuabo. And indeed, they will be compensated, they will be catered for, we are going to be sensitive to them, and the development is rather going to benefit the people of Tamale, on the contrary.
Following the announcement of the absence of President Akufo-Addo from the country by the second Deputy Speaker, Andrew Amoako-Esiama, the Majority Leader, Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu, raised concerns about the constitutional provision which requires that the Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, acts in his stead.
I don't think that mere absence from the jurisdiction should be construed to mean that the President is not able to perform the functions of his office. He leaves to the United Nations to attend conferences as the President of the Republic. How can anybody construe that to mean that the mere fact that he's outside amounts to inability to perform the functions of his office? When he's there, recognizably as the President of the Republic, and is performing the functions of the office of the President. And I think that, Mr. Speaker, it should be part of our engagement. It's the reason why some of us are proposing a holistic review of this Constitution. Because there are so many things that really, come to think of it, are incongruous with reality. The President's absence from the Republic does not mean, if it is maybe for medical reasons, his travels outside, he's not able to perform his functions for the time being, maybe lasting 2-3 days. That then could lend credence to this provision. If he goes to perform the functions of his office in his capacity as a president, and you swear in a new president, an acting president, in other words, then you're having two presidents operating concurrently. And that is not what is envisaged by the Constitution. So I think that as a House, we should apply ourselves critically to this, and then the Speaker make the necessary modifications to this.
You remember very well the Constitutional Amendment Commission, the work that they have done. I keep asking, what is preventing us as a country from implementing the recommendations? Because since the State Parliament, since 2013, we have virtually iced it. And all of us keep talking about the constitutional amendment. Yet a lot of work has been done. It is just to implement and finish it. And we've left it hanging. And yet all of us keep complaining about it. Are we anticipating another all over a fresh amendment? Because remember what they did was very extensive. The Speaker, I have said, with a greater respect, that there is nothing unto constitution that we currently have. Simply helps us to elect a dictator. Because if you look at the constitution, all it does is to create a monster president who is a superhuman being, who does almost everything. And a lot of those checks had to be corrected. Because what we are doing simply, what we have, the constitution that we created, simply creates a super, what do you call, we give so much power to the president.
Reporting from Parliament, my name is Ni Ayikwe Okain for Citi News.
Now in some other news, the Okada Riders Association has expressed frustration with the government's decision not to legalize or regulate their operations, stating that it has stifled their work. The governing New Patriotic Party, NPP, has consistently stated that it will explore alternative employment opportunities for commercial motorbike riders instead of legalizing their operations. Now, during the lead up to the 2020 elections, the National Democratic Congress NDC presidential candidate John Mahama made a promise to legalize the work of Okada riders. The following report has more.
The debate surrounding the legalization of commercial motor riding, commonly known as Okada, gained national attention when the former president and NDC flag bearer, John Mahama, incorporated the issue into his campaign. Leading up to the 2020 elections, Mahama's proposal to legalize the Okada business sparked divergent opinions. While some believed that legalization would be advantageous for the country, political figures from the New Patriotic Party did not support the idea. The NPP's opposition to the legalization of Okada was reinforced by Vice President's statement suggesting that the government would instead provide alternative sources of livelihood. Dr. Bawumia highlighted the risk associated with operating Okada and reviewed the government's plan to offer new cars to operators on a lease basis. Despite the passing of 3 years, Okada operators still believe their work should be legalized. Presently, Operators face challenging working conditions due to the illegality of the operations. Kwame, not his real name, shared his experience of nearly being involved in an accident out of fear of unjustified arrest.
When I take somebody to Accra and I'm coming, so I pass police highway, so I can't stand the traffic light and I see say some policemen they come. The way the police is coming, I know that he's coming toward me. So I'm making plan to move. And he said I should stop. He said I should stop. Stop. Me too, I know say no, if I stop, he will arrest me. Because of I don't want to make arrest me, I move the car. So some private man into red, light green on. Left small like he want to knock me, but I swerve on fast. Later where I go park. I watch the policeman into you, they watch me. He said, stand there. I said, well, move, go.
Another operator disclosed that he had to bribe security officers at one point to avoid being arrested.
Still now, posting be one man. Take one of you. Take one man, so Ukuto lasses, Ukuto be still now. Now, more person with Duska, now my job. Santan ko uniska omba forso this oko buruska na oda mama sana oye jumatuaka nta anonde aya hopa aya pa nto moya o legalize ma nimso okuto bubia oye ojima but one thing is say omba legalize am nchachere omba ya ye na betima ya jima no but omo ko fa tax bebrebe guma anosa ba ha ya ajon nta one thing is omba legalize omo ya na sere omba ya ye ni bi no ya betima ya aya jima ma ya boy.
While the members of the Okada business are unhappy with the current situation, they believe the legalization would benefit both operators and the government.
Maybe, for instance, there is a reflector, there is a number change. You will know that if you take any passenger or anybody around Tesano, the uniform he's supposed to be wearing. So if you meet somebody anywhere, you know that person, where that person is taking you to. You go to various stations like how we normally do at GPRTU and the rest. You now know that, okay, if I'm supposed to take an Okada guy from, let's say, from Circle, then it means the Okada guy, I know the reflector he's supposed to be wearing, I know the station he's working, and I know his leadership, so I will be safe. And if something happened, that person can be reported back to, just like how any other transport unions are working. Do you understand me? So I think that is the best way to even reduce more causes of criminality and that of accidents more.
The association's public relations officer emphasized the significance of their members' work and its contribution to a productive society. The association, consisting of over 1,000 members, pledges to support any political party that demonstrates a commitment to legalizing their operations.
People who deal in the Okada business think that government has not been fair to them and the work that they do. They believe that the service that they render to many individuals here in the country is essential and as such must be integrated by the government into the legal ways of commuting. Reporting for Citi News, my name is Kwekwedia Mansa.
You're still live on the Citi Newsroom, still ahead. Veterinary officers in the Ashanti region intensify engagement with cattle dealers and butchers as part of sensitization on the anthrax disease. We'll be back shortly. Don't go away.
The point of view. Cabinet ministers have been accused of sabotaging a major government program, which almost every day was in the news. How come we haven't heard anything until after the interview and then we are told that this should be investigated?
With the complexities of the issues happening around us on a daily basis.
Bernard, we are not in a good place. We're not in a good place because
we don't have access to the international capital market.
It's the hard-hitting conversations on The Point of View.
MPP and the NDC have had a consensus about economic policy. The fight really has been about who will be in power and who will be sitting at the edge of the trough and helping themselves and their associates.
And the probing questions of The Point of View.
How many times have I even showed the world's most expensive hole? Why can't they tell us the exact amount? And why is it that what they told Parliament is not less than $1 million?
The twisted entanglements of politics and governance.
There's nothing wrong for a politician to address national issues and also respond to critics.
As well as religious and social discourse.
I think that people are entitled to their own opinion on issues. And so when the president said, I want to build a national cathedral, people can have their own opinion on matters. But let us pray that God will bless this economy so that we can have our roads built and the cathedral built.
The Point of View brings you the policymakers and duty bearers and drills down to the very bottom of issues.
As part of your budget for the year is a line item that says what? Electricity.
Yeah.
So what's your reason for not paying?
The economy.
How can the economy be a reason? What about us?
The Point of View airs every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. only on Citi TV and is sponsored by Belpac. Belpac, just perfect.
Thanks for staying. Veterinary officers in the Ashanti region are intensifying engagement with cattle dealers and butchers as part of sensitization on the anthrax disease. Although the Ashanti region has not recorded any case of anthrax disease, officials insist the move is part of proactive measures to ensure the safety of consumers and also allay their fears. Citi News' Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani
Tungwan heads the production department here at the Kumasi Abattoir, the biggest meat producer in the country. News about the outbreak of anthrax in the Upper East region is of concern to him and other butchers at this facility. He explains measures in place to prevent the entry of infected animals into the slaughterhouse.
We intercept any animals that are coming in. Though they are coming with movement permits from all the areas apart from Upper East, and when they come, we still just don't feel comfortable because they are being inspected and given movement permit. We also intercept them at the gates, beyond our gate, and then we carry on the anti-mortem inspection before we even allow the animals to enter our yard. Then after that, when we are even going to slaughter again, we carry inspection again. So we have ante-mortem and post-mortem inspection, where we make sure all carcasses are inspected properly and wholesome meat are passed out. As I speak, we have a book at the security gate where we keep records of where the animals are coming from.
Butchers at the Kumasi Abattoir are lamenting the drop in sales since news about the outbreak of anthrax broke in the Upper East region, as they insist no animal has been brought in here from the affected region. Alhassan Abdul Wahab Tikuma, the chief butcher, warns members who fail to comply with the procedures of slaughtering will be dealt with.
Just before this outbreak, we were slaughtering about 160 animals a day. Now it has now dropped down to at least 110, at times even 100 a day. So it is this particular issue has affected our patronage. People are not coming to buy the meat. So we are taking this particular opportunity to appeal to people to patronize our meat, especially the abattoir. It's one of the best in West Africa. We are appealing to them and also putting a very strong notice to them that they should desist from slaughtering the animals outside. we will come after them. We know there are some few people who are doing that somewhere. Although we spoke to them after this outbreak, they have stopped. So we are advising them not to go back there again. Every single animal within the region should be here to slaughter. Here we have an excess capacity. We can slaughter up to even 1,000 animals a day.
Cattle dealers at this kraal fear news about the anthrax outbreak could affect sales at a time when the demand for the animals will be high due to the upcoming Eid al-Adha.
Affect kraal, especially because no kwasi for na omuto na twe no omukom omo anama okoto nam no na se yento nam no ntisi ade yense kakra bibia be ko yamai.
Veterinary officers, however, say continuous sensitization remains key, although the region has not recorded a case.
An outbreak. Anthrax is one of our priority zoonotic disease. So whenever we encounter such outbreak, we quickly place a ban. And it's not just a ban. The whole Upper East region, there's mass immunization of livestock going on there. It's one of the measures. And then here too, we are doing the sensitization. We've been to a lot of radio stations, and some of the TV stations have also interviewed us. And then we are telling the public that we are doing our best to make sure that every meat that leaves the slaughterhouses is being inspected by our veterinarians, so it is safe for consumption.
The outbreak of anthrax in the Upper East region remains topical among butchers and cattle dealers here at the Kumasi Abattoir.
Veterinary officers say they remain on a high alert to ensure there is no any case of anthrax in the Ashanti region. Hafiz Tijani, Citi News, Kumasi, Ashanti region.
This is the Citi Newsroom. CNR Business is up next with Nashika Caesar.
Hello and welcome to CNR Business. My name is Nashika Caesar. Now, an economist, Professor Godfred Bobkin, has countered the assertion made by President Akufo-Addo that the consistent downgrades of Ghana's economy by credit rating agencies have contributed to the country's current economic woes. According to the finance lecturer, the same rating agencies have equally given a favorable opinion of the country's economy, therefore establishing its neutrality. He spoke during a business meeting here in Accra.
The rating agencies, in the last 1.5 years, Ghana has suffered a number of downgrades. So to that extent, we say that yes, the president is spot on, that we have been downgraded quite seriously. But I do not agree with the president that they have been reckless with their rating, because the methodology that they use is available for everyone to see. And if you use the same methodology or even you vary it, you will still come to the conclusion that the ratings have been largely fair, right? And therefore, it's very difficult to attribute bias to what they have done, because my understanding is that these same rating agencies in the time past, even under this current administration, have given us good ratings, and on the back of that we have gone to the capital markets to go and then borrow, and therefore I'm not too sure that they will just change suddenly because they are anti-government or they are reckless. But we will not say that the rating agencies kicked us out of the market. The right way to put it is that Ghana lost.
Now the last week because the oil marketing companies considered the current economic hardships and maintained the old rates. The executive secretary of COPEC has been speaking on the issue as well as other related matters. The prices of petrol and diesel were set to experience a slight increase ranging between 2% and 5% beginning June 16, 2023. The depreciation of the cedi was attributed to the expected hike. However, the increment as anticipated did not materialize. Duncan Amwa is the Executive Secretary of COPEC, and he's been explaining why the fuel companies maintained the price.
The signals were strong for them to go up, but looking at maybe the economic circumstances of the people in the country, they would maintain. What that means is that they will shed off some of their margins to be able to contain what the market numbers threw at them. Once you find gold doing that, the tendency for the other major players or traders to also maintain prices is quite high, and that is clearly what has happened. Some of the smaller players also have even gone down. What accounts for their reduction, we are yet to be told. But that is very welcoming.
Duncan Amwa also called on the government to expedite processes which will lead to the operationalization of the Tama oil refinery.
There's a private refinery next to Temoil refinery a few meters away that is looking to do about 100,000 barrels per day. That can take over the Ghanaian market without even importing a single liter. If you allow that private refinery to take over the market, you might as well dismember Tor and then completely sell out or leave it, without functioning, because it won't be able to compete with that private refinery on the scales of economy. And so we would expect authorities to have this in mind, to also bear in mind Dangote refinery is almost ready to produce and to also supply to the West African market.
Now, during the third Citi Business Festival Forum on Citi TV, which focused on the changing face of retail and consumer markets, industry experts discussed strategies to navigate the uncertainties in these markets. The following report has highlights from the event.
Grace Enim Yeboah, the Director of Business Banking at Absa Ghana, shared valuable insights on how better financing can be attracted to enhance the global competitiveness of producers.
The governance of it is what gives the outsider a clear view of how you're running it. So financial accountability, being particular about financial reporting and engaging your financial service providers as your partners. Okay. So being transparent with them. The second element really, and we're talking about global competitiveness, right? The world is a global village.
Michael Harry Yamson, the managing partner at Ishmael Yamson and Associates, expressed a strong viewpoint regarding inhibitors, particularly highlighting the e-levy. He emphasized that the e-levy poses a significant obstacle by discouraging consumers and impeding the growth of the retail sector.
And one of the biggest inhibitors right now for me is the e-levy, and I think that it is not something that's going to help the retail sector. It's a disincentive for consumers, and that ultimately is something that we need to think about removing.
Michael Kutu, the managing partner of Confidant, underscored the importance of protecting and supporting locally made products in Ghana.
If we're going to do any such protections, we should do it for made in Ghana products. Okay. And I'll take it from a national security standpoint. One of the things COVID-19 taught us, right, was it's extremely dangerous as a country to be completely dependent on imports for certain sensitive aspects of our national security as a people.
Robert Ahumkalinse, a former Deputy Minister of Trade, emphasized the significance of agro-processing and its potential to drive economic growth while creating value within the agricultural sector.
Not because we want to necessarily just grow more tomatoes. It's because we want to make sure we grow the tomatoes to add value to them so we get greater value and be able to sell them in our outlets and sell them both within Ghana and externally. And that is why the importance of agro-processing is. We tend to sometimes confuse agro-processing with just agriculture generally.
The Citi Business Festival 2023 is powered by Citi TV and Citi FM in partnership with APSA and is sponsored by MTN Momo, MTN Business and ZP with support from Gesal.
That's all for CNR Business. My name is Nashika Caesar.
And this is where we part company, but before we take leave of you, here is a look again at our top stories. Adjournment granted for application to vary High Court order on daily hearings in James Jachikwason case. Over 6,000 teachers failed 2023 reset for Ghana teacher licensure examination. Police Inspector Ahmed Chumesi pleads not guilty to murder charge in trial for alleged killing of girlfriend Victoria Dapa. Minority criticizes government's plans to demolish Tamale Abuabu Timber Market. Visit our website citynewsroom.com for more news updates. And subscribe to CityTube on YouTube for more exclusive video content from Citi TV. Many thanks for your time. I'm Frima Edunyame.